My food business failed. I acquired a food business for £0. In fact, I was paid £10,000 by the seller to acquire this business. A little on that later. It was turning over around £500,000, potentially more. We had some sites in the Santander building in Milton Keynes, which is a total flop from the bank and from their useless staff working there. Sorry. And not all of them, but the management we dealt with were just corporate eggheads. It had a little cafe in Cranfield, and it had an incredible reputation for weddings and events, and had done some incredible, worked at Blenheim Palace with Mercedes AMG, the Formula One. It had done incredible things. And, just like the owner said, it was a lead machine. We would get quote requests daily. I mean, multiple times a day, every day of the year. So this business it had some debt, which was where that £10,000 came from the owner to pay off some of those debts. So it would be an easier start. It had some sites that weren't so profitable. It had done events that weren't so profitable. It was run as kind of a lifestyle business. And I came in with the view that I can change that. I came in with the view of, I'd think it would be interesting to get into hospitality, And yeah, I was pretty wrong. A lot of people said to me, it's really low margin. It's really tough. Your product is perishable. So, can't just keep your t-shirts in a warehouse for 10 years and this stuff goes off, and freezing it does make a difference to quality and the space you need and the energy. And a lot of people told me not to do it. And they were right. They were absolutely right. However, what I will say is massive learning experience. I met some incredible people, did some amazing events, and took a staff member from that into my cleaning business, who's such an integral part of it now. So, for him, it was probably worth it, and for the experiences. Now, why did this fail? Because in my head, we were taking it to 5 mil revenue, we were selling it. I had an ops manager who turned out to be, anyways. And, I was going to give him shares. It was hired the wrong ops manager, massively wrong ops manager. So that was a big waste of money, big waste of time. That's on me. And had various other issues of which I'm going to talk to you about today, because I think it's important. Did I fail or did I learn? I don't lose, I learn. That's how I look at it. I didn't lose any money, really. I lost time. I lost potential profit I could have made in my consulting business, in my mentoring, in my cleaning business, for sure. Cleaning business would have grown quicker. So I know, 0 to a mil in 2.5 years, we would have probably done it in 1.5 years, maybe less, which would have been awesome, right? But there was this distraction. And look, it started off great. The team were great. We had a lot of fun. I got to cook as well, which was cool. I got to, have a business in my passion, which isn't always the right thing to do. But it went wrong and we had to shut it down. We were going to sell it. I even had the money in my account ready to sell it for a really small sum. But it was, decent sort of profit, but doesn't cover my time. And the absolute shithouse of a freeholder on one of our sites ruined the deal, basically. Full Karen, full, has the whole Karen hack, everything. So what actually went wrong? Okay, the biggest thing, and I'll take full accountability for this, is, twofold. One, I didn't understand how much this industry would take. I thought I could run it alongside the cleaning business, and maybe someone could, However, because, more importantly, I didn't invest enough time or money into it, it wasn't a success. I should have, from day one, got rid of the shitty old vintage van, either got a tow truck to tow it around because people liked it, or just spent 15 grand straight up and got a new van and just not had problems. Amount of times we had to call a tow truck, or we had issues with the van, or this didn't work, that didn't work, and someone's wedding and they're pissed off. Just too many, not even getting to events sometimes and having to, get it towed. And only specific vehicles can tow this. Which we learned from some of these idiots who damaged the vehicle. And that was on me kind of being like, we'll just get away with it. We'll just pay to get it towed. We'll just, be fine. And, we did, in the sense that we did events. They went well. Some didn't go well. Some gave refunds, etc., etc. But I didn't, and I I was there often, to be fair, once, twice a week. I went to event. I did invest the kind of time that I think would have been enough. However, I think on the back end, I relied on a rather, bad ops manager to do his job, and he didn't. And I wasn't then checking enough. I think I also didn't invest time in the right things. So in the back end, the boring admin, whatever, those kind of things that I think I needed to do to support the fun parts, like the videos, the photos, attending, tasting, whatever. It didn't work. And I also knew, as I was doing it, I thought, if I just spend 15 grand on this truck, on this, I know we can do something here. But I wasn't ready to put that money in. I wasn't ready to take that risk because, did I not fully believe in it? Did I really just not want to make a loss? Because I haven't really made a loss in business. I have, but not like losing money. I've lost 6.5 grand on a flip. But, I think part of it was that, not ego, but just like, it's okay. We're doing okay without me risking 15, 20 grand. Let's see what happens. And to be fair, we did try and source some trucks. We got one for really cheap. And then that obviously didn't work out. Again, all of that bullshit, I could have just got one for, 10 grand or so, 15 grand, and it would have made it easier. So not investing enough time and not investing enough money, 100% are reasons why. If I went really ham on some of the business development, got us like a core site, it would have helped. One thing that really didn't help, and I can't control, is the government business rates. Now, this was before they doubled overnight, which has been happening lately, and they just expect people to survive. Well, they're not going to survive. The hospitality industry is not going to survive. And why would you want to set up a business like that? Before you even make money, before you even pay rent, you've got the council there paying us rent for what? Ding bins. You lot don't even fucking do that. For all the potholes. I was in Birmingham on the weekend. I know it's a shithole now because they're not collecting the bins and whatnot in certain areas, but the potholes in Birmingham are really bad. And I said to my nanny, I said to my grandma, I said, yo, I know your council are mash up, but what are these potholes about? She goes, well, it rains so much, so they just get worse. I was like, okay, yeah, fair. It does always flip and rain in Birmingham, but, what do we get for business rates? Nothing. And now they've literally doubled them, but didn't really put it in the budget. And when I saw these come in, even though we had a site where maybe the freeholder would have paid it for us, maybe, because it was a corporate cafe, I looked at them and thought, because we had an exemption for a while, some technicality, and I thought, this is unfeasible. Like, there is no way we can operate, especially it was a corporate cafe, so it was limited in opening hours, limited in customer number, and limited in pricing. Although they ate shit, man. These lot, middle of England, man. Like, what is this country without immigration? Fucking gammon and chips. Dead things, man. These lot would eat anything. And I mean, like, when we did a little bit of flavour, they lost their minds. They were like, this is incredible. I was like, that's like half a teaspoon of tagine. If you know about tagine, TK Maxx sell it cheap. And so we couldn't even necessarily make a big margin because people didn't want the fancy stuff, or like they just wanted literally gammon. That was like our best seller, gammon and chips, man. So we're very limited. And then business rates came in, and I literally, when business rates came in, I was like, no, you know what? Forget this. Like, I don't even want to pay it. Even if we could be profitable with it, I was just like, oh, if I don't want to do something, I'm not going to do it. I was like, F this, man. They even sent the enforcement agents round. I was like, I literally said to them, the business is going to shut down because we can't afford to pay business rates. What are you going to do? Here's the limited company. Take legal action. Go on. I've done no wrongdoing as a director. Go on. I'll see Rachel Reeves in court. And of course, didn't hear back from them. So business rates was a big thing. Obviously, it doesn't affect the events. Now, the events can be really, really profitable. If I was a one-man band, maybe I had a couple of helpers, operated it from home, had a trailer, did some events, I could make some good money. Net profit, couple events a month, I'm sure I could make a couple of grand. And I'd have fun, Yeah, you'd work weekends and evenings, but like 3 or 4 a month. So there's money in it. And of course there's money in food. There's money in all industries, but it's a lot less in this country in food. The VAT, having to collect VAT, put it in, take it out, not pay on certain things, and then to charge customers that, especially when they kind of expect this little small cafe to not be doing that. And I suppose they also expect on the event side for us not to be doing that. So that was another thing. The government just not supporting, national insurance, which didn't go up then, but it was still present as a pain. It just meant in an industry where the margins are already so skinny, it just gets harder and harder. And again, why do I want to do it? Is my passion so strong that I'm not a doctor. I don't want to be paid £7 an hour effective rate after 10 years of medical school because I want to help people. No, that's not me. And I'm not, I fucking love making, enchiladas. And I don't care if I earn no, bro, no. I'm sorry. What do you think this is? So honestly, some of it was me just being like, jog on. Like, I'm just not doing it. If we still had the business now and the business rates came down and doubled, like genuinely, that's an instant shutdown. And even if we didn't have a corporate cafe and we had an actual location, I would be close to being like, was the point, That was the point. Another reason was, you know what? It needed real dedication. And I think I was giving it that. And I think I gave it enough time and love and passion. But because it's such a difficult industry with such slim margins, it needed all of me, you know? It needed all that I could offer. And I wasn't prepared to give it that because the cleaning business margins are 3 times as much and 3 times less work. I don't have a premises, so it's no business rates. You know, yeah, my national insurance is high, but, you know, I'm not making 8 to 11% margin. Even though the business, you know, and even though we did remove some sites in the food business, the Santander sites, because they weren't making money, and those they're greedy corporate snakes over there, not Santander, but the people who work for them, and Compass Group, etc. I mean, look, they're a massive billion-dollar company, whatever, cool. They're obviously corporate snakes. They weren't interested in actually helping small businesses, things like that. So we met with Curb. Curb were fucking weird as well. It was just like, which way is this gonna go? And then we had beef with the local food blogger who apparently runs Milton Keynes because she didn't like the business result. There's little bits of drama in it. There's a lot of tension, you know. But no, there wasn't really. It was just a bit of drama, which was fine. But we were still getting leads in like every flipping day. So I think to me, the reason it didn't get the dedication is it kind of started to feel like a chore. I'm doing the P&Ls. I'm seeing how much we're making. And look, did I buy this as a let's make loads of money? No, I didn't. But I needed it to wipe its face, wipe its ass, not just shit all over me, you know? Because it was. I was in PPE most, you know, fuck. It just felt like a chore. You know, it just felt like baby girl, I can't give you what you need, you know? I can't buy you that Birkin, you know? It just felt like a chore. That real dedication needed was not there with me. And you know what? You have to identify in your business. Could that happen? Are you in an industry where the profit level or even just what it takes day to day could drive you to that point? You don't know till you're in it sometimes, but you really need to think about, is this worth what I'm putting into it? Is the output worth my input? Remember, yeah? Tej Talks told you that. And this wasn't. And if you're reaching that point in your business, you really need to consider what you're doing and how you're doing it because, you know, we're passionate humans. You know, us entrepreneurs, we want to do things we're interested in. We don't just want to do things that, you know, because they make money or because they do this. So you need to think about that. Don't let it become a chore. And if it is, you need to work on what can you do to get through that or get over that. You know, small things, stock management, you know, because it's perishable, was pretty decent. You know, I was pretty tough on wastage and reusing things. I think the labor time was pretty tough, you know, because I'm not there every day. I took half an extra to clean today, or like, you know, we need these hours to make it worth it. And it's like, okay, but you are really good, so therefore we should keep you. And then even, you know, for events, the labor hours just kept piling on. And again, maybe they're a bit slow, maybe they're having a laugh, which again, you know what, man, everyone's got to eat. So I don't begrudge anyone for that. And I don't think like, oh, they were malicious little snakes. Not at all. I had some staff who were. But for me, it was more just, well, we can't afford that. And I'd love to be able to afford that. So you could have a bit of fun and log it in. But we just couldn't. I think we had some really good staff, really young staff who actually were way above their station. And I think they would have done really well had we continued. I could have trusted them with various things and I would have trained them. And I think they would have really learned it. And yeah, it's a shame. It's sad, you know, because I wish I could have given them a future or even transferred them to the cleaning business like I did with one of them. The others, they just didn't have the skill sets required. And nor did we have the need for, you know, anyone else. But we did have good staff. Hiring staff was a mixed bag, I would say. Not 50-50. I'm going to say it was 80-20. 80 good, 20 bad. So that's pretty good in that industry, where generally everyone's transitioning from some into uni or they're in between traveling or they're, you know, just here before they do this and that and whatever. But we had some really good staff. Having said that, yeah, you know, could they have been quicker? Could they be? Yeah, but my ops manager should have sorted that out. It's not my job. But then it's all my job, isn't it? So, yeah. So stock management was that. The last thing which caused it to shut down is that the costs and the time around an event made it really tough. So whether that's, you know, 6 hours preparing the food for an event, then it's 2 hours getting there, hours setting up, 4 hours serving, 2 hours cleaning down, this, doing this. That's on a weekend. Maybe staff want a bit more. Maybe you've got petrol to pay, you've got distance, you've got time, you've got, next day, the van has to be cleaned. The dishes have to be cleaned. Yeah, and all of that around an event. I mean, look, events were profitable, but I think all of that for me was a bit of a headache in terms of like how much we had to pay to just for the prep and the pre and the post and to get stuff done around an event that, yes, the event paid and we made money from it, but it just didn't feel like enough of a reward on the effort that went into it. And it was definitely rewarding to do people's weddings and events and like to get feedback and hear my staff saying, oh, they loved us, we had a lot of fun, blah, blah, blah. They invited us to, party with it, whatever. That was actually really nice. Now I'm in my soft boy era. Then I didn't give a shit. But now I'm like, actually, that's really sweet. That's really nice. But for me, it just didn't work out. And I think a combination of all of these things, a sort of 7 to 11% monthly net profit, which, look, if your turnover is high enough, great. But it wasn't pre-tax. And events net profit, to be fair, 25, 30, maybe a little bit more. Sometimes less. And so many times the profit got swallowed up by stupid tow trucks because the van broke down, or hiring a van, or whatever it was, or having to give the event commission and things like that. We did an event, and the organizer at the end, when we said, here's how many we sold, they said, are you reporting that accurately? I was like, are you accusing us of lying? I was like, I might have hit a 1 or 2. And I was like, here's a screenshot from the POS system. What do you mean? He was like, oh, that's like 25% of what the others did. I'm like, I mean, what the fuck do you want me to do with, like, there were just so many things. And also, I'm running the cleaning business at the same time. And I didn't actually have my ops manager then. So it was 100% me. Now I get a call from the cleaning business side. I get a call from the food business side. Sorry, which one makes my life easier and better and pays for stuff? Cleaning business. And that's why those calls got answered. And the cleaning and the food business didn't, At the end of the day, I blame myself. Yes, the government fucked us. Yes, Freeholder was a bit of and Santander were a bit I mean, Santander Bank, yeah, sure, no problem, man. You guys financed the Porsche, man. Love you guys. But for me, I have to blame myself. And I don't beat myself up about it. I was sad that it didn't work, but I learned so much from it. In every vertical, marketing, HR, stock keeping, staff, just everything. I learned so much. And honestly, I had a lot of fun. So for not losing any money, I'm not really, I can't really complain. But as you can see, people, there are so many reasons why a business can and will fail. A lot of the time it comes down to the entrepreneur, which is why you need to be prepared. If you're going to go into the food business, find someone who's done it. Say, listen, how much for an hour of your time? Some people might say, yo, don't worry about it. It's free. Buy me a coffee, buy me lunch, whatever. That'll be the best £11.50 at Nando's you ever spend. I'm telling you, find someone. You want to do waste removal, find someone in the sector. What's your hourly rate? Come, I'm paying you that. You don't have to touch any waste. Just sit here and answer my question. People will do this. Just like in property development, you want to do a refurb. Okay, say to a builder, how much? Okay, come to a viewing with me and I want to sit down afterwards. I want to pick your brain. If you pay someone, they will sit there with, like, are you crazy? Like, honestly, I feel like so many people just don't use common sense of like value exchange. If I want something from them, what do I need to give them? And it may not be money. You might be a digital marketer. You might say, Tej, I can sort your SEO out. We can put some ads up for you, blah, blah, blah. We normally charge, 500 quid for this service. I appreciate that's probably an hour or whatever of your time. Can we come up with something mutually beneficial here? And then I'll probably say, you know what? That's probably worth more to me than the money. Like, let's do it. And that's why I always go on about this. Like, start with books, start with podcasts, then just find people in your industry. There's always someone in the industry who will help. Or if then, find someone in general business. Because, I've got $5,000 set aside to get into business. Okay, well, allocate, I don't know, $1,500 to learning about it. What's 10%, 20% of the amount when that investment could say, like, I had a phone call with my solicitor the other night and it was like 7 p.m. or something. It was like a 4-minute conversation. He saved me £32,000. Firstly, what? I've known him for 5 years. So we can have the kind of conversations where I can save that kind of money at 7 p.m. in a 4-minute conversation. For free, by the way. Normally, you'd have to consult and pay, and you can work out what a solicitor's hourly rate is. Secondly, I pass this on to my mentees. So when you are reaching out to someone who has experience, you're not just getting their experience. Tej had a food business and failed. You're getting all of that in the back of Tej's mind when I speak to you. You're getting the recruitment business. Do you understand? When you speak to experienced entrepreneurs, you're not just getting, they're an expert gardener, they're an expert software developer. No, you're getting everything they know delivered to you. And that is super powerful. And that's the message I want to leave you with, is just prepare yourselves. Honestly, prepare yourselves. Don't listen to Dave down the pub unless he has experience. Don't listen to the rumors and the TikToks. Find actual people. I always say this, people, but guess what? I always say it because it makes sense. And if you haven't gone Apple Podcasts, whatever you're on, or Spotify, Spotify's even easier. You just hit 5 stars. That's it. Or leave a comment on this episode. Come on, people. I've hit 1 million downloads before and I am picking this shit back up.